Welcome to Mindful Living, where we explore the fascinating world of psychology and healthy lifestyle. Happy you're here with us. Today we're diving into a topic that everyone has probably encountered at some point: how to spot a narcissist. Now, a narcissist is someone who flaunts an inflated sense of their own importance, has a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, and has a lack of empathy for others. Understanding narcissism can be helpful in navigating relationships and setting boundaries, so without further ado, let's dive into the 5 key traits of a narcissist. First off, a classic sign of narcissism is a lack of empathy. Now, you may be wondering, what exactly is empathy? Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It's like stepping into someone else's shoes, seeing the world through their eyes. But for narcissists, this is often a challenging concept. Imagine trying to tune into a radio station, but all you get is static. That's how a narcissist might feel when trying to connect with someone else's emotions. For example, if you're having a rough day, they might dismiss your feelings or make it about them. "Oh, you think your day was tough? You should have seen mine." It's like they're missing that emotional GPS that guides most of us in our interactions with others. They might not understand why you're upset when they cancel plans last minute, or why you're hurt when they insult your new haircut. And this lack of empathy isn't just frustrating, it's harmful. It can lead to one-sided relationships where one person's needs and feelings are consistently overlooked or dismissed. So if someone consistently shows no regard for your feelings or struggles to empathize, they may be a narcissist. Next up, we have self-centeredness, another hallmark of narcissism. Let's dive into what that means. Self-centeredness is when a person's world revolves around them, like they're the sun and everyone else is just orbiting around them. They are the main character in their own narrative, and everyone else is merely a supporting role. Picture this. You're having a conversation with someone about your day. Instead of listening and responding to what you're saying, they somehow manage to turn the conversation back to themselves. You mention how you got a promotion at work, and they start talking about that time they got promoted. Or maybe you're struggling with something personal, and they cut you off to tell you about their own problems, which are, of course, far more significant. This constant need to be the center of attention can be exhausting for those around them. It's like trying to have a two-way conversation with a mirror. All you get back is a reflection of the other person. Remember, if someone always puts their needs and desires above yours, it could be a sign of narcissism. The third trait to look out for is love bombing. Now, love bombing isn't as explosive as it sounds, but it can be just as destructive. It's a tactic often used by narcissists to manipulate others. Imagine this. You meet someone new, and almost instantly they're showering you with affection, compliments, and gifts. They make you feel like the center of their universe. Sounds dreamy, right? But here's the catch. This sudden overflow of affection isn't about love, it's about control. The narcissist uses this strategy to hook you in, to make you dependent on their approval and affection. Once they have you where they want you, that's when the affection may suddenly stop, leaving you craving for more. Love bombing can be subtle, and it's easy to get swept up in the romance of it all. But remember, real affection and respect take time to grow. So beware, if you're being showered with affection and attention out of the blue, it might be love bombing. Now let's talk about insecurity, a less obvious but common trait among narcissists. You see, narcissists often wear a mask of arrogance and superiority, but behind this facade, they're like a house of cards, ready to collapse at the slightest breeze. This is because they are deeply insecure, constantly seeking validation and affirmation to uphold their inflated self-image. Imagine you're at a party, and there's this person who seems to be the life of the party, always in the limelight, always the center of attention. But then, you notice something odd. This person can't take a joke at their expense. They get defensive when someone disagrees with them, or they crumble when they don't receive the praise they're so desperately seeking. These are classic signs of insecurity hiding behind the mask of narcissism. And here's the kicker. They're not just insecure, but hypersensitive too. A small critique feels like a major blow to them, and they often react poorly to criticism, sometimes even lashing out in retaliation. So if someone is constantly seeking validation or reacts poorly to criticism, they might be a narcissist. Finally, we have anger and aggression, traits often associated with narcissism. When we think of a narcissist, we often imagine someone who is self-centered and lacks empathy. However, there's another side to this coin that's less discussed but equally important: their tendency to react with anger or aggression. This typically happens when their self-image is threatened. Imagine you're dealing with a colleague who always needs to be the star of the show. You decide to constructively criticize their work, suggesting some areas for improvement. Instead of taking it on board, they explode with anger, accusing you of trying to undermine them. This is a classic example of a narcissist reacting aggressively to protect their inflated self-image. Another instance might be a friend who lashes out in anger when they're not the center of attention at a social gathering. Instead of sharing the spotlight, they become hostile, attempting to regain control and reestablish their dominance. Remember, if someone often reacts with anger or aggression, especially when criticized, it might be a sign of narcissism. So there you have it, 5 key traits to help you spot a narcissist. Let's do a quick recap, shall we? First, we talked about a lack of empathy, a classic sign that someone might be a bit more in love with their reflection than the average person. Then, we dove into the self-centeredness that can make a narcissist's world spin around them and only them. Next, we explored love bombing, an intense charm offensive that can be as explosive as it sounds. We also touched on the insecurity that often hides behind the bravado. And finally, we discussed the anger and aggression that can surface when a narcissist's inflated self-image is threatened. But remember, these traits alone do not a narcissist make. It's important to avoid labeling someone based on a single trait or behavior. Instead, use this information as a tool to better understand the people around you and improve your interactions with them. Now here's a question for you. Do you think you have any of these narcissistic traits? Feel free to share in the comments below. And remember, self-awareness is the first step to personal growth. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned to Mindful Living for more psychology insights.